Hey guys, it's your boy D Vallo back with some more boxing. So, Deontay Wilder has said that I am levels above AJ, and he says a few other things, but I'm not going to go into everything that he says in that article, but I will go over a few main points. So, he says he's levels above AJ, so let's have a look at that. Well, Deontay Wilder has had 38 fights with 37 KOs, and Anthony Joshua has had 18 fights with 18 KOs. So these two are knockout specialists. So when we look at, but I must say, when you look at Deontay Wilder, he is 6'7" with that 83-inch reach. That is a ridiculous reach. So he's very tall, and for a heavyweight, he's quite fast on his feet with that long reach, and he throws a lot of punches. So therefore, that's what gives him such a dangerous reputation, and he's an athlete. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, 6'6" athlete, and knocked out 18 of these guys. Very big, muscly, stocky. So yeah, when we now look back at now we look back at Deontay Wilder, what else has he got in his arsenal? Well, as I said, he is a knockout specialist and he's knocked out 37 of his guys. But what I'd say is that sometimes he slaps his punches and he gets injured. So in terms of his technique, it's okay, but it could be improved. But he definitely got power because when he hits people with his left hook or right hand, he tends to knock them out. But the one thing I would say about Deontay Wilder, if he fought Anthony Joshua, is because of that height and um, reach advantage, he would be definitely using to benefit himself and to win the fight, because he did say in that article that I've been around for a long time now and I'm very experienced, which is true. And he says I've seen all the styles or the main styles and I've been able to adapt to them within the ring. So with all that high and massive ridiculous reach advantage, if he was to fight Anthony Joshua, he would just be putting the jab in his face all the time, and then when he comes forward, hitting him with that uppercut underneath, and then throwing that right straight down the pipe, and could be it could be a grueling night for Anthony Joshua, getting his face knocked in. That wouldn't look good, because I look around seeing all these posters of Anthony Joshua, like got his own brand and that. Imagine if he got beat up by Deontay Wilder and you saw his face on the poster. That wouldn't be great, would it? That wouldn't be that funny, would it? But anyway, so he could get his face smashed in if he fought Deontay Wilder like that. But to be honest, at this moment in time, I don't think what Anthony Joshua is for to a guy that's much taller than him with that much reach. So personally, I think that if he fought Wilder now, even though it would be a very exciting fight, he would be kind of outgunned in terms of he would have to create a game plan to fight over the top, similar to Bermane Stiverne, but not so similar to Bermane Stiverne because he's 6'2", so he's only Wilder's only like what 1 inch taller than Joshua. But the thing is that it's that reach. It means that he can stand a little bit. He's standing a little bit taller than, and he can keep you back and hit you with uppercuts. So you have to be moving your head and coming underneath and throwing uppercuts. And from what I've seen about Anthony Joshua in his first few fights, he was very flat-footed. But against the quality of opponents that he faced, he didn't really need to have that footwork. He's only improved his footwork, which to look a little bit better against Eric Molina when he was kind of bouncing around. But even then, he looked like he was. When he was bouncing around, he looked like he was holding a lot of weight on his shoulders. You know, what I mean, he didn't look as free and as he didn't look as free as what Wilder's running around. But saying that though, these two do have different frames, so therefore they will carry their weight a little bit differently. But when you are good on your feet, you make yourself look light. So I think Gerald Washington had his footwork was all right, but he just didn't have the heart. So you being having great heart is the only way to beat a champion as like Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder has gears. He can like laze around, throwing a jab, whatever, outboxing you or not outboxing you like Jared Washington, because Jared Washington's actually winning off the first half of that fight, but he can just turn it on and knock you out. He has that extra gear, whereas Anthony Joshua seems to be, he puts on like he fights 100% from bell to bell, but in earlier in his career, I think Anthony Joshua's toughest fight was definitely, well, one of his toughest fights was Dylan White, who actually rocked him and hurt him. And so it shows that these champions can be rocked when it's a mental game. Now there was some kind of that was like a domestic clash at the time, and there was, these two were both up and coming prospects and had beef with each other in amateurs and sparring. So there was that mental battle between the two, and once you can get over that mental edge of the champion, then you can be able to hurt them. So yeah, no champion is invincible. Look at GGG. He was this invincible knockout specialist, but it just took one guy who was not scared of him, a couple of guys that weren't scared of him, that came in there and done a job on him. Even though they didn't get the wins, it made him look vulnerable. So I think Deontay Wilder as a champion can be vulnerable. It just takes the guy with great heart to go in there and really mean every punches that you throw. The only way you're gonna beat this guy is if you really go out there to hurt him, but you do it smart in boxing. And Anthony Joshua does go out there and hurt his opponents and knock them out. So in that way, you could say that he would mean his punches, and if he did hit Deontay Wilder, it would hurt. But he has to get in close. I think if this fight was to actually go on, Anthony Joshua's best bet is to really get up close to Joshua and no, really get up close to Wilder, because he's got such long arms that if you're really in his space, he's not going to let you. But once you get into his space, he's not going to be able to throw any of his shots because his arms are so long. It's just like he's wrapped around your body. So when you get in there, you target the body, you whack his body up, you hit over the top, you make it quite a dirty fight, but you still maintain your own composure, put it on Wilder, don't let him rush you out. When he tries to wild you out, just have a good defense, but have that mental edge over him so that he doesn't feel like he can just do that to you at any time. That's how you need to fight Wilder. But there needs to be, the question is, can Anthony Joshua do that? So my question to you guys is, what do you think? What do you think of this matchup between Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder? Do you think it would happen? Do you think it's a good choice? Because I know with these champions that they look at things like, what is the reward of having this fight and what is the risk of rewarding this fight? For example, the reward for Anthony Joshua beating Klitschko, which is his up and coming fight, April the 29th. I've done a prediction, go check it out. But yeah, the reward for that fight is massive, because this guy's like got massive amount of experience. He's a very well known top heavyweight, and it's a big payday as well. Money does come into it. Then the risk of fighting with Klitschko, if you think about it, yes, there's a risk because he's like a top heavyweight and all the other good things I've said about Klitschko just a second ago. But also he's had a year and a half out of the ring, and he's 41. So I did say in my earlier vid that yeah, he's 41, but he's actually done better and defended his title more times in his 30s than he did in his 20s. In his 20s, he was just hungry and he's getting to the top. In his 30s, he was defending it, mastering his craft. So now he's mastered his craft, he knows what he can do, and now he's against an up-and-coming hungry prospect. Champion, IBF champion. So the risk of that fight is a little bit lower because he's 41. How will age affect him, and how will that ring rust not being in there for a year and a half and coming off a loss affect him in the ring? So that is the risk. But so the risk of him fighting Deontay Wilder is big because Wilder is taller than him and has a longer reach and is more experienced than him, almost even like nearly even double the amount of fights he's had, and with Wilder saying that he's being able to adapt to all of these guys, so the risk is bigger, and the reward, well, the reward would be great because the reward is big because Wilder has that belt, doesn't he? The WBC, and so if Joshua has the IBF, and then if he wanted to unify the division, or if he wanted to get another belt, he could go and fight Wilder in it. So there was in terms of titles, there was a war there. Money, well, I'm not sure about that until it actually happens, but I assume that Wilder's fighting guys like anybody that wants to fight him. Like a pub man down the street could say, Wilder, I want to fight you, and Wilder would say, yeah, bring it on, because he's just that type of guy. Like, he's not gonna back down from a fight, and he doesn't care. He's just there to defend his title. So yeah, you know what I mean. It's crazy how when you're a heavyweight and you're a champion, you can choose who you want to fight. But yeah, the risk to fight Wilder will be quite big at the moment. But saying that though, out of the top 5 heavyweights, so we got Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Luis Ortiz, and let's just say Klitschko is still there because of that fight that's going on. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder would be a big fight. You got other names floating in the heavyweight scene now. You can't ignore Tony Bellew now because he's in there for a big heavyweight like David Haye. You got Shannon Briggs also there. He's going to be fighting Fresco Cueto later on this year. He's going to want to fight David Haye after that because they had some beef going on. But that's another name in the heavyweight. The heavyweight scene is quite big at the moment. You even got Dillian White, who I'd say is still on kind of British level, but he's at that he could have that rematch with Chisora, or he could be fighting somebody else within the division. I think he should go and fight someone. Dillian White, for example, I think he should go and fight someone like Brazil. You know what I mean? Someone that Anthony Joshua is beat, but someone that is still kind of rated and is trying to get back up to the top. If he could beat someone like that, then he could try and get himself back up there. He's rated in one of the sanctioning bodies, but not that highly anyway. So that's just Dillian White. But going back to Deontay Wilder, I think that with that height over people, the only one that could actually only high risk person for him would be someone like Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is the tallest, biggest heavyweight I've ever seen, and the tallest, biggest heavyweight that I've seen who has the footwork and punches to match Deontay Wilder. But saying that though, Anthony Joshua does have the punch work rate. He does throw a lot of punches and he throws combinations. So if he could, you'd have to really study Deontay Wilder and go in there not scared and really go down there to beat him up and hurt him. Maybe you'll be able to do it. But I just have a feeling that if Joshua wasn't prepared, or if he underestimated Wilder one bit, or Wilder could just come out there and wild out on you. Like he wild out on Gerald Washington. Gerald Washington was outboxing the guy. I actually thought that if Gerald Washington carried that on, he could win it. And then he just got knocked out. And if you saw the knockout, it's probably one of the best, well, worst knockouts if you're searching it on Google of the year, because it's probably number one spot, because the way how he knocked him down, he got back up, and then he just wilded out on him with those long arms, and it was like he was doing a front crawl on him. It literally looked like he was swimming on a scared and terrified Jared Washington. It kind of looked like how like when a parent is beating their son, like, or beating their child, like, it just really looked like he was whooping himself, whipping his ass. So if you want to beat this guy, you gotta mean it. So anyway, this is your boy Divalo. What do you think of Deontay Wilder? What do you think of the top heavyweights in the scene? I've opened the debate. Let's have a talk about it. It's your boy Divalo. If you're watching this video, thank you for watching. If you like it, give me a like, and don't forget to subscribe. It's your boy Divalo, and I'll be back on to the next one.